I like Andy Ruiz. I really do. So I hope no one takes this video as some type of you know, hating video on Andy Ruiz. You know, because I don't have anything against Andy Ruiz. I don't have anything against any fighter. I actually like him. You know, I watch his interviews. Uh, he comes across as a very nice guy who really just is happy and thankful that he got this opportunity with Anthony Joshua. He understands that these are life changing opportunities. You don't really get these opportunities, especially someone like Andy Ruiz, who really has been very inactive. You know, before he fought Alexander Dmitrenko, he really hadn't been doing much. I mean, I felt that he fell off the place, off planet Earth when he lost against Joseph Parker. Because after that, he kind of disappeared. You didn't really see him. So most people, at least me, if you really think about it, he really didn't deserve this title opportunity just because he hasn't really done anything since losing to Joseph Parker. But you know what I'm trying to get at is I like Andy Ruiz. Okay, so this is not a video of me hating Andy Ruiz or bashing him as people put in the comment section. Oh, you just don't like Andy Ruiz. No, I like Andy Ruiz. But I don't think that Andy Ruiz has a shot against Anthony Joshua. I think this is going to be a really bad beatdown for Andy Ruiz. First of all, Andy Ruiz is not a puncher. Okay. Now I know that he knocked, or was it a TKO or whatever against Alexander Dmitrenko? I know that he beat him, but Alexander Dmitrenko, has no heart. He has no heart. He's a quitter. B, he has no chin. Alexander Dmitrenko, let's go to his Wikipedia. Let's go to his Wikipedia. Let's go to his. Okay. First of all, he got knocked out against Brian Jennings, a guy who's never been a big puncher, right? Before he lost against Andy Ruiz, right? This is a guy who you see how it says he got KO'd against Joseph Parker? He actually didn't get KO'd against Joseph Parker. He quit against Joseph Parker. He got hit with a punch that didn't even land. He fell on the floor and he acted like he got shot in the face. That was one of the fakest knockouts I've ever seen. He quit against Joseph Parker, okay? For crying out loud, he got knocked out against Kubrat Pulev, a guy who has about 13 KOs in like 32 fights. A guy who has 13 KOs in 32 fights. So let's not get confused with Andy Ruiz knocking out Alexander Dmitrenko and think to ourselves, oh, Andy Ruiz is a monstrous puncher. No, he just fought a guy who has no heart and who has no chin. Andy Ruiz is a guy who went the distance with Rafael Bamazumalov, whatever that guy's name is. Now, Rafael Bamazumalov is a journeyman who has been. This is the same guy who got destroyed in, I believe, a round, or was it about a minute and 30 seconds against Anthony Joshua? This is a guy who has been knocked out on several occasions. Okay, Rafael Bamazumalov, a journeyman times 5, went the distance with Andy Ruiz. That should tell you. And this is a guy who's been knocked out several times. It's not like he's never been knocked out, and maybe you might look at that and say, well, Rafael Bamazumalov has always had a good chin for a journeyman. No, he's a guy who's been knocked out on several occasions. Andy Ruiz went the distance with him, okay? Andy Ruiz also went the distance with washed up Sergey Lihovalev. Now, Sergey Lihovalev was washed up beyond belief when he fought Andy Ruiz. This is the same Sergey Lihovalev who got destroyed and had literally a seizure when he got knocked out in the first round against Deontay Wilder. This is the same Sergey Lihovalev who was coming off a 3-year layoff when he got beat up against and knocked out against Brian Jennings and Robert Helenius. So when Sergey Lihovalev fought, when Sergey Lihovalev fought Andy Ruiz, he was coming off 3 knockout losses, and he fought twice in the year 2011. He got beat up twice in that year and knocked out twice in that year against Brian Jennings and Robert Helenius. Then he didn't fight for 2.5 years. He comes back, fights Deontay Wilder, gets knocked out in devastating fashion, has a seizure in the middle of the ring. Then I think he takes another year off, and then he fights Andy Ruiz, and he goes the distance with him. How is it that Andy Ruiz goes the distance with a washed-up Sergey Hovlev? So I don't think that Andy Ruiz is a puncher. I think he's very overrated when it comes to his punching power, and it makes sense. It makes sense because Andy Ruiz, honestly, is not really a heavyweight. I actually think this guy is more of a light heavyweight, but because he has weight problems and because he doesn't know how to, be disciplined, he's forced to fight as a heavyweight. Because if you compare his body, just his body mass, there are people his weight, his same height. You have to remember this guy's like 6'2", 262 pounds. There are people who are his same height, and they don't look like he looks. He looks like he's a guy who's really should be walking around at 180, but he's just undisciplined. And that's why he's so fat and he looks like the way he looks. You get what I'm saying? That's why I actually think he's not really a heavyweight. I just think that he has no discipline. He kind of has the body of like a James Toney who, he fights at, or at least during the end of his career, he was fighting at heavyweight. But he was a guy who turned pro at middleweight. He just couldn't be disciplined enough to maintain his middleweight, super middleweight body. So he was forced to fight. James Toney was forced to fight at heavyweight because he couldn't maintain his middleweight, super middleweight body. He couldn't stay at that weight division because he had a problem with eating. And that's why he had to go all the way up to 230 pounds. This is what I feel Andy Ruiz is. I don't think he's really a heavyweight. I think he's really maybe a light heavyweight, maybe even a cruiserweight. But because he doesn't have discipline and he can't maintain his physique, he can't maintain staying in that weight. He's forced to fight at heavyweight. And that's why he's not a puncher at heavyweight. I'm telling you, man, this guy's not a puncher at heavyweight. And Anthony Joshua's going to beat him up. That's how I feel. I feel Anthony Joshua's going to beat him up. I feel he's going to take the worst beating of his life. This is not Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker is a decent fighter. That's what he is. He's not an elite fighter. He's a decent fighter. Joseph Parker, the minute he started fighting world-class fighters like Anthony Joshua and Dillian White, that's when he started looking bad. That's when he started looking bad. He hasn't been looking that impressive. He stopped looking impressive. Joseph Parker is a passive heavyweight. He's a passive heavyweight. That's why he made it easy for guys like Anthony Joshua and Dillian White to beat him up. He doesn't know how to go for the knockout, right? He's too passive. That's something I've always disliked of Joseph Parker. He's too passive. He's not going to be dealing with that type of heavyweight when he fights Anthony Joshua. He's going to be dealing with a guy who will knock him out, who hits far harder than Joseph Parker. All right, so, and by the way, have you seen Anthony Joshua lately with his haircut? He looks like the vintage Anthony Joshua when he was coming up. That's the same type of hairstyle he had when he was on the come up, right? When he turned pro, like back in 2013, 2014, he had that type of hairstyle. So he's trying to take it back. He's trying to take it back to his, or it looks like he's trying to take it back to to himself when he was a contender. So I just don't see Joseph Parker. I don't see Andy Ruiz having any chance against Anthony Joshua. He's not a puncher. I'm telling you, Anthony Joshua will eat his punching, his hooks, whatever he's landing on him, like M&Ms. I'm telling you, he's not a puncher. Don't be confused with the knockout of Alexander Dmitrienko, a guy with no heart and no chin. He's not a puncher. Okay. When he fought Alexander Povetkin was known for being a devastating puncher. He was known for being a one-punch knockout artist. So it was different. Anthony Joshua had some respect for someone like that. And you saw when he would get caught, he would like back off a little bit because he knew, okay, it's dangerous if I just went in there because, if I just went in there without no defense because this is a monstrous puncher, but he's not going to have to worry about that. And again, against Ruiz is a guy who is not a counterpuncher. Alexander Povetkin was trying to play the counterpuncher against Anthony Joshua. Andy Ruiz is going to be going after him, okay? So he's going to be having a feather-fisted fat heavyweight going after him, trying to roughhouse him, making it easy for him to get his punches off. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be a beatdown. That's just my opinion. That's all I have to say, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and I'm out.